Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective Podcast. Chairman.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective. I'm your host, Van Turner, and my co-host is
DC, and I'm sitting right here. Mr. Chairman, how are you?
Great. And on today's show, we have a committed leader, a committed community organizer. He made community organizing sexy before Barack Obama ever thought to come on the stage.
That's sexy. Now, that is a lot sexy now. All right.
He brought sexy back.
Wow.
For community organizing, that is.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So we have none other than Commissioner Reginald Milton. He represents District 10. It's going to be a great show. And we'll be right back on the Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Keeping it real, right, and funky.
Is this an opportunity that we can seize and express interest from the governor and the state to act on the behalf of young people in Shelby County? There are stories that we don't want to tell because they will piss some folks off, make some folk mad.
Funky politics on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN! The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
We are back with the Chairman's Perspective. I am Chairman Van Turner, and my co-host is DC.
I'm right here, Mr. Chair, right here.
And as promised, we have a great show ahead of us. We have Commissioner Reginald Milton.
Glad to be here.
Commissioner for District 10. Commissioner Milton and I have some history. We actually threw our first inaugural reception together when we were both running for office in 2014.
Right.
We threw it at Owen Brennan's.
Yes, we did.
And it was a joint fundraiser. And we raised some money.
You raised some money.
No, you raised some too.
Well, you got some too, didn't you?
You raised some money. I got some change, but
No, sir.
Wow.
No, sir. We raised some money. And
Was
we
the food good, though? Was the food good?
Food was very good.
Yeah, Owen Brennan's.
That's Owen Brennan's, yes.
No.
And we kicked it off together, and here we are in our second terms.
And I'm proud to be part of the team.
Yes, sir. Happy to be on this journey with you. And so let's let our listeners know, what is District 10? What areas of the city does District 10 encompass?
Okay, I know you're going to get tired of me saying this because I always love to say it. I've got the coolest district of them all. The 13 commissioners, I've got the best, and they know it. I have South Memphis, Orange Mound.
Yes, sir, Orange Mound.
Yes, Cooper Young, Overland Square, Central Gardens, Chickasaw Gardens, and part of Midtown. Now, is that not a great district?
You got Memphis.
I've got the from the richest to poorest. I've got blue collar. I've got bohemian. I've got the upper crust. I've got a variety, and it's really enjoyable trying to make sure I meet the needs of all these diverse individuals.
Orange Mound would include Melrose. You have some historic schools in your district.
Absolutely. In fact, many of the challenge schools I do have, and I'm devoting a great deal of my time and energy to ensuring that these schools receive the resources they need. And we have some wonderful young people, bright minds.
Now, you're not new to community service. You run a great organization. It is known as SMA, right. South Memphis Alliance, right there in South Memphis. Let us know a little bit about SMA.
Well, I started SMA back, believe it or not, 20 years ago. It's amazing.
Get out of here, 20?
It's amazing how time has flown. I was working with local neighborhood association. I was at the point in my life I was deciding where I wanted to go, and I found a need to provide social services. I got my master's in public administration, and I fell in love with community. I fell in love with the residents. And so I started this nonprofit working with local neighborhood associations. And over the years, it has grown. We started in a 10 by 10 room. It was,
10 by 10.
It was 10 by 10. I had talked somehow 3 other people to come and work with me. And we all had a desk by each of the 4 walls. And whenever we wanted a conference, we would turn the chairs around to the center, and that was our conference room. That was how small it was.
Conference room, workroom.
Exactly. And we started working over the years with children who were incarcerated. Shelby Training Center, Tall Trees, Memphis Group Home, all these facilities where we had a lot of our young kids. And we provided them with anger management, conflict resolution, goal setting, whatever they needed. The city eventually closed a lot of these facilities, and that was a big mistake to some degree. I understand some of the issues, but a lot of those young people wind up getting scattered.
You're listening to The Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. You know, Commissioner Milton, you've done public service in terms of elected office. You run one of the largest, I guess, the most sought-after nonprofits in the city. Do you see right now the dots connecting, so to speak, though? Are we connecting the dots? We keep hearing about the poverty is up here, it's up here, it's up here. What's happening in our city?
I know it's good to sit there and say, you know, are we making it? The reality is that it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's not so much about the destination. It is about us doing the best we can. We, all of us, have a short period on this planet. And the thing is that we do the very best we can, and that should be enough. You do what you can, and don't worry about all the rest. It's too much for one individual to deal with. I give my best. I wake up every day, and I try to make the world a little better. And that's good enough for me. And it should be for most people. I think we put too much on our shoulders.
So you have a laundromat, and this is just such a unique idea. So attached to the SMA headquarters is a laundromat. Explain to the listeners the significance of that, because you bring people to you and you're not necessarily going out to them. And it's just a very unique idea. Let us know about that.
Sure, be happy to. Now, again, we started in a 10 by 10 room. We now own and operate 4 different buildings. And
just recently bought one, I think, too.
We just bought a 53,000 square foot warehouse. Well, we've already got one lease for 11 years. They're taking about 20,000 square feet of it.
Wow.
So but I'll get to that in a second. The laundromat, we had our first office, which is at 1048 South Bellevue. That's our headquarters. Next door to us was this rundown laundromat, pretty much what you would imagine a laundromat would be. Sure. You know, half the lights were out, half the machines weren't working. It was a vacant landlord. He came in for just to collect the money. And I saw a lot of the people that we were serving using that laundromat. And I thought to myself, you know, we need a social entrepreneur project so we can generate revenue, so we can help our foster kids that we're working with. And that's who I didn't get to that point, but that's who we work with now. We work with foster children. Well, what I realized, I had to look for an agency, a business where we were bringing, the people were coming to, instead of making the poor have to do extra work, we had to find them when they had leisure time.
Yeah.
And the laundromat turned out to be the perfect location. You come there, you're sitting there for 30 minutes waiting for your clothes to wash. You sit there waiting for your clothes to dry. You're in a good mood. So we bought the laundromat and we raised $600,000 and converted it into a laundromat resource center where we have about 22 different agencies come into the laundromat and provide social services while they're doing their clothes.
22
different agencies. And for the agencies, they love it because they're thinking, you know, we don't have to expend the money. They're trying to reach these hard to reach people anyway.
Absolutely.
And they can just come there, open up, and operate from the laundromat. It is one of the first in the nation of that nature that we know of.
Well, I think that just goes to the ingenuity that you've displayed even on the commission. We'll talk about the grant program in a few seconds here, but I'm just so appreciative to have you here today. We started out, even before their reception, we started out on the Democratic Party together.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did. That's where we first met. And so it's just good to have you here, my old friend, Commissioner Reginald Milton, Commissioner for District 10. We'll be right back after this break on The Chairman's Perspective.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Jazz, America's own original musical art form. When did it start? Who were and are some of the major players? How do you distinguish what kind of jazz you're listening to? We talk about the great and lesser-known artists, songs and tunes, the instruments, and the social impact jazz has had on world culture since its beginning at the start of the 20th century.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
This is Commissioner Reginald Milton, representing District 10, and you're listening to The Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
And we're back on the Chairman's Perspective. I am Van Turner, your host, and here's my co-host.
I'm DC.
And we're here with none other than Commissioner Reginald Milton. He represents District 10, which is Midtown and other great areas of this city, including Orange Mound, Cooper Young,
South Memphis.
South Memphis.
Is that South Memphis or is that South Memphis? We're going to say South Memphis, right?
As long as you say it. That's all that's important.
Them folks don't get upset now if you don't say it right.
They had that song, S-O-U-T-S.
Oh, there y'all go. There y'all go. You know, Mr.
Go and finish that, Commissioner Milton.
Well,
you know that song, don't you?
Oh, you know I do.
No.
But I just can't sing it. That's the problem.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't hurt us.
Yeah, we need Zebo to give us a contract.
Wow.
Since he out here, he got him a music business now.
Well, you know, I saw Zebo last weekend. He was down a weekend. And speaking of a weekend event, I was at the foster care fair last year,
yes.
Commissioner, and this beautiful, tall lady was running things, Tiffany Turnage.
Mm-hmm. She's my director.
Across the street in this huge field.
Right.
I'm like, what in the world is this? I mean, it was warm now. It was hot.
We're in the
but
South.
folks were there, and they were engaged, and you had all these wonderful children, all these wonderful businesses and programs that are out there. Memphis Police Department was out there. MATA was there. We had a wonderful time. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I would be happy to. That was our dairy field. The dairy field, we call it. A few years back, we, across from our office, another building, was a Reed Brothers dairy plant. Now, for some that have been around a while, if you've been down Bellevue, you will note that there was a gigantic metal milk bottle on top of a building. That was the largest freestanding metal milk bottle in the world.
Guinness Book.
No.
Yes, in the world. And the building itself was built back in the 1930s, and it had closed back in the 80s. It was filled with lead and asbestos, and it all turned to dust, and kids were playing in it. It was horrible. So we decided to buy the building and to bring it down. Now, when we did that, people were saying, well, what are you going to do with that milk bottle? That's a lot. That's a huge milk bottle. You could sell it for the metal.
It's a big bottle.
Yeah, we said, well, no, that's a historical object for South Memphis. And what we decided to do, we reached out to the Children's Museum, and we donated to them. If you go to the Children's Museum now and go in the back, you will see the huge milk bottle as part of their dairy display. They got a barn they built beside the milk bottle. So it's taken on its second life, and I'm proud of that.
Wow.
And with the dairy field now, what we use it for is a lot of activities. And I'm glad you brought up the foster fair, because we're going to have the foster fair again. It's going to be May the 18th, Saturday, May the 18th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we've got dozens of agencies that will be coming there. And if I'm going to go through them real quick, some of them, you got Project ID, you have Program Bank, DCS, Southwest, Memphis Job Corps, My City Rides, Hope House, Assurance Wireless, Heritage Cancer Screening, Firestone Dental, we give dental services, A Step Ahead Foundation, Urban Family Ministry, United Healthcare, the Hicks Group, and it goes on and on. All these agencies will be there, and it's going to be right across the street from 1048 South Bellevue this following Saturday, May the 18th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And again, it's an opportunity to give people awareness about foster children. If you're interested in fostering a child, these are many young people who need a loving family. And if you're prepared to do that, we will help you do it.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. I will say this, Commissioner, you guys are doing God's work, because there's a lot of our children that are not being fostered. Yeah. And some of us have the means to do it.
Absolutely.
But that's a whole nother story and a whole nother show. Mr. Chairman, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
No. That's great. That's great. Now let's switch it back to the commission. You started something that I think will go down in history as one of the best programs that the Shelby County Commission has ever undertaken, and that is our grant program. Explain to the listeners exactly what that is, how they can apply, and what we're trying to do with our grant program.
Of course, be happy to. And let me also say, of course, I am one commissioner of 13. And at the end of the day, without at least 6 other commissioners going with me, I can do nothing. So I thank all the commissioners who supported me in this effort. At one time, the county was given about $5 million to support nonprofits. And every couple of years, it was going down to 4, then to 3, then to 2, then to 1. And then the county was about to get out of providing funding to nonprofits. And my argument is that we do the prevention work. We do the work that helps prevent young people and others from getting to critical care, where it's always more expensive and often you can't really solve those problems. So it's important to invest in nonprofits. And I had a big argument with the administration at the time saying that, we were committed to doing it. And what I decided to do was to see a new way of us doing grant programs. And what we had just become a single district. Each commissioner has their own districts now.
Right.
Before we had the super districts.
Yeah, that's right.
So it's now 13 individual districts.
Yep.
So the concept was why not give each of those commissioners direct funding to each of those commissioners' district and allow those commissioners to oversee those dollars. So we gave about $150,000 to each of the 13 commissioners to their district. It goes to the district. And we allow those commissioners to administer those dollars because they were elected by the people of that community. Sure. And we have really had an impact on a litany of nonprofits throughout Shelby County. It is amazing. And the reality is that it's not enough to just sit there and say, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
You have to be able to help. And this $150,000 is not going to change the world. It's not, but it makes a small difference. And that's what I always stress is that you don't have to do everything. Just do something.
Wow. I remember the fight because there was one with the last administration.
Yes.
Oh, well, you guys are just going to do the. No, I know personally small nonprofits that are helping serve the needs in our inner city today because of what this commission did. And I'm going to give you the kudos for that. Mr. Chairman, give you the kudos for that as well.
Please do.
You guys have taken on a mighty task and you've done some good work on that.
Well, I'm just so happy to be serving with Commissioner Milton. That was a great program, and I think that it will really, really make a significant impact over the next coming years. We've already done so well, and it's just been up and running for 4 years.
Yes, it has.
And so I think we have a lot of great things to look forward to. And you've never seen nothing when we pull the resources together.
Yeah.
So when each commissioner gives a certain amount, so someone could come in just thinking they can, they're going to get 10,000, but all the other commissioners would join in and they walk away with 60, 70,000. And just like you said, DC, these are the ones that don't get noticed. These are not the big, huge nonprofits.
That's right.
These are the ones who are really doing the work when the cameras are not there, the media is not there, but they're handing out food. They're providing beds for homeless people. They're first to those homes that have been ravaged by the poverty in the community, and to support these groups is really made it worthwhile.
And a lot of them without paid staff. That's one thing I think you've seen, right, Commissioner?
Absolutely.
Without paid staff. These are volunteer people.
Right. So if you're interested in applying for this, usually around June, it will wind up being on our website. Mm-hmm. But find out what district you're in. Find out who your commissioner is in that district and reach out to that commissioner. If you are running a 501c3 nonprofit organization, reach out to your commissioner and see if you can get funded. Now, understand, we can't fund everyone.
That's right.
A lot of people are doing a lot of wonderful things, but you may be able to get funding for it.
Well, I tell you what, Commissioner Milton, let me say this. The work that you've done and the work that this chairman does, people recognize it. They see it. The citizens see it. Those folks in impoverished areas in our community, they see it, all right? We'll be right back with more of Chairman's Perspective right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Chairman. The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
The off-year electorate, the midterm electorates, are older, less diverse, more conservative. You have two electorates fighting for the future of this country. And what I'd say to your viewers and people listening in is, you know what? You got to stop that older, less diverse electorate from funking around with your future.
Funking up your airwaves and jamming the good information in your ear. Once again, it's Funky Politics.
Funky Politics.
We're back with the Chairman's Perspective, and we're here with Commissioner Milton and my co-host, DC.
Yes, sir. We're right here.
And let's talk about the Tennessee State Legislature.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think they call themselves the General Assembly.
Is that what it's called?
The General Assembly.
If you take out the first, I was about to say the first three letters. We're not gonna go. No, you did not hear that. Is not what the chairman's perspective is all about. No, it's the General Assembly. I'm sorry, y'all.
Right. So, Commissioner, just on the break, we talked about how we are the number one producers for the state of Tennessee.
Number one.
Right here in Shelby County. Yet, we don't get any money back commensurate with what we give to the state.
That's absolutely true. I sit on Department of Children's Services Advisory Board in Nashville. Our numbers are used to get federal dollars. And I can assure you, they use Shelby County to get those federal dollars by the issues that we have here, that the amount of dollars that come back is nowhere near to what we generate. And if that's the case, then how do we solve the problems? It is extremely frustrating. And there's no other word for it to say, but we're being treated like stepchildren.
I think even stepchildren get a little bit more love than what I've seen come out of Nashville, especially this last. And speaking of the General Assembly, Mr. Chairman, and this is to both of you all, from a collaboration standpoint, now that we've seen them introduce the ESAs and we know what it's going to end up doing to our district, we know it. Mm-hmm. But you all have done something that we've not done in years, ever. Mm-hmm. And that's starting to meeting with the other governmental bodies.
Right.
Yes. Mr. Chairman, I think you were the kickoff to this thing here. Mm-hmm. Let's talk a little bit about that, if we can. Let our listeners know how that even came about.
Well, I mean, you have to communicate in order to resolve issues. And so there was a time when the city would talk crazy about the county, the county would talk crazy about the city, and everybody would talk crazy about the school system.
Yeah.
And so I think it was just a situation where it behooved everyone to stop casting stones, to sit down and communicate. So we've had 2 joint meetings with the city council. We're working on some joint proposals with the city council, and we have also met with the Shelby County schools. And I think it's just going to allow us to communicate better and to run a more efficient government. Again, when you talk, you can resolve things. When you don't talk, it oftentimes leads to confusion. And I just appreciate Commissioner Milton and the other commissioners for buying in, because it could just be me there by myself trying to meet with everyone. But we've had great attendance by the commission. And I think that this commission is really showing great leadership. What do you think, Commissioner?
I couldn't agree more. And as a community organizer, I will tell you that often is failure in communication. It's the lack of it. When people start really talking and they let their guards down, they realize that everyone's the same. And and I commend the chair for his leadership has been exemplary, and it has helped us to move forward and build these relationships. And I'm excited about the future. I really am. Even with the negative issues that we have to address, but there will always be those. There will never come a day that we won't have problems.
True. That is true.
My goal is always just try to solve the problem in front of us at the moment. And we just keep chipping away at it. And that's the job.
Let's get it back to District 10 before we get out of here. What's going on? And I know you have the Cooper Young. Now, you can go to your district and be there all day.
Oh, easily.
Every month there's something going on.
You're at my events.
We're not in my district right now.
Exactly. So like I oftentimes go to the Cooper Young Festival, and then there's many times during that period the Southern Heritage Classic.
Yes,
which
indeed.
is in your
Crawfish Festival.
Mm-hmm. The Crawfish Festival.
The Orange Mountain Parade.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Which I was the last one. I was the Grand Marshal, which I say with a great deal of pride.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what's happening this summer? What can we expect? More of the same?
Definitely more of the same. Cooper Young just had their Cooper Young Walk. It's a garden walk. They just had that. There's always something to do in the area. I tell people to you can go on the website and really check on the wonderful things that are happening. Orange Mound now, they're really being effective at getting out a lot of their programs, and they're having walks, they're having parades, they're having events. And South Memphis is they're developing their area, especially in the Soulsville community.
Right.
We're starting to see a lot of growth in that area.
Absolutely.
So there is a lot happening in my district, and I'm proud to be part of it, a small part of it. But yeah, it's wonderful.
I think 10's on the way up.
Yeah.
I think 10 is where it is. It's one Memphis is what I was telling our producers.
Right.
That district represents so much
of Memphis.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective right here on the KUDZUKIAN Network, but it's Memphis. And like you said earlier, you just got a melting pot of people.
Yeah,
you know?
right. Yes.
Right.
Of nothing but just people of all races and ethnic backgrounds and socioeconomic statuses. It's just right there in this district.
Yeah, there are 3 streets that you can walk down, and there's just entertainment and things to do. Of course, you have Beale Street, but you have Overton Square, which is in your district.
Yes,
you have Cooper Young.
Cooper Young.
So we can't stress the importance of, 2 of the 3, I would say, streets or communities with activities, restaurants, bars, shops, specialty stores. 2 of those are in your district,
and I make certain that I go to many of these restaurants. Look, you can look at my weight. Trust me.
You're not both in the same places.
It is not hard at all, but I do try to go and partake of the wonderful food that's in my district, and it's just amazing. I truly consider myself a very fortunate human being.
That's great. That's great. So here's the most important question we have for you this segment. This is the big one. This is the big one. Will Penny Hardaway and the Tigers take the title next year?
Well, you know what I'm going to say. Absolutely. But I tell you, I have 2 words. 2 words. Jeremiah Martin. That's all I have to say. What an amazing young man. I mean, he did 37 points at it was 30 at Temple. He got that one. And Wichita, he did like 37 points. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Took those games. So I'm excited. I am really excited about our team. Now, I'm a big Grizz fan too also.
Yeah.
Right now, they're buying tickets right now for season tickets. So I'm telling anyone who's listening, you got to get your Grizzly tickets as well. You got to get out there. Even if you're going to buy 1 or 2 games, you got to support our team.
I know another team that's in that community and that's Lamont College, the Magicians.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you, the Magicians over there, and Clint Jackson, who's the athletic director over there, their basketball team. It's on the up, man. There's nothing but good things that are coming out of South Memphis.
Absolutely.
Nothing. And we got to we have to convince ourselves not be so hard on our communities and on our city.
Right.
We beat up ourselves more than anyone else. And that is, as commissioner, I've been fortunate to be able to go to other cities and learn about what they're doing there. And one thing about it that I see above everything else is that the spirit of people, the excitement they have of their city. And that's, we've got to get that. We've got to be excited about it because this is a great city and county. And we should be proud of it.
I love Memphis.
Well, on that note, I think we have to conclude. But Commissioner, it's been wonderful having you here.
My pleasure.
Been Reginald Milton, the Commissioner.
Yes.
District 10. It was great having you here.
Thank you both. I appreciate it.
We'll see you again right here. We'll be right back. Matter of fact, I think we'll come right back, Mr. Chairman, right here on the Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
The Chairman's Perspective podcast on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, I'm your host, Cynthia Daniels.
And I'm your co-host, Williams Brack. And Grindset takes a deep dive into the mentality of the entrepreneur in Memphis.
This show unpacks the entrepreneurial journey. What's your Grindset?
So make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast provider.
Grindset on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Well, we've had a really good show today with Commissioner Milton. We talked about his District 10 community, including, of course, Cooper Young, Orange Mound, South Memphis, Soesville. He talked about his organization, South Memphis Alliance, which is doing great work, especially in the space of foster care.
Yeah.
And I just think we just had an all-around good show with a good man.
Commissioner, I think the work that he and you do on that commission, you two are pretty much seniors now. You guys are old heads on this thing, right?
Yes, sir.
On the commission.
Sir.
So
OGs.
OGs. And it shows. It just shows. Not with age, but it just shows. So y'all doing all right. I think the city and the county is getting the best service it can with leadership from you, and not only from you, but also Commissioner Milton.
And that grant program, I think, would be so signature that 20, 30 years from now, the lives that have been touched by that grant program would just be a tremendous testimony to what committed folks can do when we're unified and we put the people first.
That's right,
Put the people first before politics.
I tell you, Mr. Chairman, I believe everything that we've talked about today, we've covered. I hope our listeners have taken good notes. I think this thing is ready.
I agree with you. And just know this, we're only a phone call, a text, or email away. We've enjoyed having Commissioner Milton here on the Chairman's Perspective, powered by by the KUDZUKIAN Network, and we'll see you next time.
The Chairman's Perspective Podcast. Executive producer, Shelby County Commission's Van Turner. Hosted by Chairman Van Turner Jr. and Darrell DC Catron. Recorded at KUDZUKIAN Studios. Directed, produced, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.